Yeah. It's just one of these things. Yeah, I know. It's fine. It's no problem. It is what it is. Yeah. Cheers. Right, we're all in. Right, folks, where were we? That's it, 6 high. That's right, slide 18. Lunchtime. Just a couple of things to update on then. Obviously, the law test was going to be the section before lunch. That we will now do that as a send out, and then you'll have to complete and send back to us, and we will chase you, and we will get them back in. So we'll do that you'll do that in your own time. There's another education teacher statement, isn't it? Or you can come back at lunchtime and do it. No. Google. ChatGPT, give me the answers to this law quiz, please. Look, I don't want to step to. I know JP's going to say a little bit on the approach that we're taking to some of this, but we do need to make sure that the pathway is understood but visible to everybody. So hopefully what you'll begin to see is that we're putting together pathways, we're including people in, we're looking at people's onward journeys from the roles that they're in just now. All of that has to be visible from people in this room, but it's also got to be visible from those that are out with this group at the moment. Okay, so that's a big part that we've got to be pushing forward. Fair and challenging criteria, so we need to be making sure that our selection decisions are based on evidence and selection methods and principles. Big part on unity, respect and collective purpose. So again, that's part of the groups, getting people included.
Just stay there.
And I suppose the bit about being visible ties in with the transparency. Okay, so we've got to be able to justify any decisions that we take moving forward. And a lot of that will be done through selection committees, including people from across our environments. So therefore people will feel like, okay, I understand what the decision was, don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand that the process was this, X, Y, Z, and that's why it is. Okay, so that's going to be the focus. I'll skip past that bit. And I guess the third part of why we're here and the third part of being together is to share plans. What are we doing this season? What are we going after this season? What does the landscape look like? What can you lot look forward to for this season? Okay, so I think, and then obviously, so I'll move on. Beyond that, this idea of being connected, so the Saturday evening was bring people together. The number of times I heard, I am Craig, nice to meet you, or insert name. All right, so there's people still introducing themselves in this room, a massive part of this. Okay, we had a bit of feedback, a very honest piece of feedback from somebody in this room. I don't know a number of people in this room, was the statement. We have to make sure that people are understanding who they're operating with and against in some ways. All right, we're here as a team, but we are going to be competing against one another as the season progresses. Obviously, thanks to JP for really driving that practical session this morning. Loads of energy, loads of fun, loads of laughs and movement at the end of the day, which was fantastic. We will then, after lunch, we'll do a bit in your cohort, so we'll split you into your groups. We'll explain what happens in there. Again, this idea of becoming connected, working together for the season. And that'll be linked to the coaching groups and your coaching teams to build your season plans. And then the final session is the ready idea, so post-coffee. We'll get into some rugby discussion. We'll do about an hour and 59. Again, that was a little bit of learner choice to some specific groups. We asked what you would like to cover. We'll try and address some of the hot topics in the game. And hopefully when you leave today, you'll go, okay, I've got a clear direction on some of the areas that are being looked at. And you can go into next week going, okay, we're ready to go. All right, that's the desire or the objective. Okay, happy with that so far? Any questions on that part? Happy days, good stuff. Andy McPherson, High Performance and Academy Plans. Thank you.
Very much. Hi everyone.
Yeah, look, it's really great to have everybody together.
Oh, hold on.
I can just shout, Craig.
No, you won't go on there, mate. That's fine. There you go. Forget it.
You got me now, Darren?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, look, great to have everybody in. Obviously, there's a few people that can't make it, and that's understandable. We're still kind of at the back end of a summer, I suppose, but really brilliant to see some new faces, some less new faces, but just everybody together and working and enjoying each other's company, which is brilliant. So my bit really is just running through the High Performance and Academy, which falls under my remit. Just to, as Craig said, just to outline some plans, just to maybe allay some myths or just clarify a few things that can float around if we're not clear on certain things. So I'll touch on both of these separately. The goal remains the same as I stood last year at Strathallan. The goal remains the same: a regular return of people into professional and international rugby from Scotland. It's been the goal for ages. It'll continue to be the goal. That's what my job, and a big part of my job is to make sure that we have that, and people in this room play a massive part in that, and will continue to play a massive part in that. So that is the goal. Hello.
Hi, yeah, so sorry to step. I just make sure everybody here is okay. I'll be coming by with some drops of cold water fairly soon. And I'll give you an update how the itinerary and all that's going. But I just want to make sure everybody's okay, everybody's alive. Traumatised, well, we can put you outside, that's okay.
I think compensation is what I heard.
Okay.
Where there's a blame. So look, Rue's obviously, I don't know what Rue's doing in that picture, but looking intense, looking focused. That's our membership. Obviously, Mikey is on his way back from South Africa at the moment, having been involved in the opening few rounds of the greatest rivalry. Holly was involved in the first two midweek games, so isn't able to join us. Sammy then goes down to be world-class fourth official for Test 2 and 3. Are you going down economy, or are you?
Absolutely not. Clipboard needs to lie flat.
Well, it's not a clipboard. It's a long time since you've done number 4. There's people in here who'll tell you it's an iPad now, mate. And then other members in here, we've got a few people that are not here, but that's our membership. So to have Sam, Mike and Holly involved in this greatest rivalry tour is testament to them and where they're standing in World Rugby. It's absolutely fantastic. It looked like Mikey had a bit of his work cut out yesterday with a few calls, so it'll be interesting to go back and have a look at that game. And we've got our support team of ARs and TMOs as well. Notable just for Rue, obviously being in the under-20s, the Junior World Championship in the summer, which was absolutely brilliant. Some great feedback from Rue from World Rugby on that, and we'll look at more opportunities for Rue through URC, EPCR, and then hopefully more World Rugby. So a real big step forward for Rue and for the pathway and for the group, which shows you hopefully that it does work. We've also got Finn and Rue again involved, and Mikey involved in WXV, so the Women's September Internationals. Finn, you're making your debut as a TMO, having done a bit of women's under-21s TMO and some bunker stuff. So absolutely delighted for you, Finn, going into that space, and I know we'll all wish you well. And you've got Mikey there to support you from the bunker on that. So again, it's opportunities, it's people, it's Scotland being represented, and we can hopefully build on that as we continue to grow our cohorts. URC EPCR early season, appointments coming out, so it's funny, you can always tell when the start of the season's coming because everybody starts to send all the appointments on like pretty much the same day, and then you're trying to juggle everything and work out who's available for what, and no different to domestic stuff really, but I think last week it was World Rugby, URC and EPCR all come out in pretty much the same day, so it becomes a challenge. But we've got people going down to South Africa for URC, we've got 2 games in the EPCR Champions Cup, so we've got people going out and across, so we're well represented, and we're continuing to operate in a good space there, and it's testament to the work of loads of people in here, which is great. In terms of the academy, I think this is probably well known anyway, but the six referees in here. We've only got Mary missing, she's on holiday. But we've got Rosie, Ewan, Kyle, Gus and Murray. And we've got Grant and Bob and Ian doing the coaching. So we've got a 1-to-2 ratio in the coaching in the academy. So probably a lot more intensity around the coaching. I think it's 1-to-4 maybe on the panel. So it'll be, the refs will probably be sick of seeing their coach every second week. But the whole purpose of this is to do some intense development, intense coaching, and really try and push on and accelerate some development for people. Alongside that, the coaches and the refs have worked on their IDPs, their independent or individual development plans. So some goals for the season, a current reality status, 3 things that they think they need to work on through the season, and the coaches and I will work with the referees through the course of their appointments and their reviews to work on those IDPs and see how we can develop and keep moving people forward. Some of them might be the same for the full season, some of them might change, some people will develop at different rates. That's the nature of any sport and any development. People will move at different rates. We're also going to look around just some other support around some S&C. We'll get some nutritional experts in to show or to just outline and educate around these things. So a wider support to the group as well.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So interrupting today.
No, don't panic. Don't panic.
Do you guys have glasses, or do you want some extra ones?
I think we've got some cups at the back, maybe.
I'll just give some extra.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. So look, as you would expect from it's okay. An academy, some extra support around that, and really trying to just give as much support and opportunities to an academy as possible. That said, there's no promises and no guarantees. Like, there's absolutely no promises that people are going to get certain levels of games. If people don't perform, then they shouldn't be getting the games that they maybe think they should do. So it's about competition, putting pressure on each other, sharing learning amongst the academy as well. But I'm not going to guarantee anybody anything, and I'm not going to promise anybody anything. So if you're sitting here not in the academy or whatever, and you're going, oh, they're going to get everything, there's no guarantees. They're going to fight for stuff, because when you get to high performance, you've got to fight for everything. And that's the resilience, and you've got to really work hard at it. So do not think there's this automatic, they're going to get everything. Okay, so we've got to work hard at it. And if that comes as a surprise to the 5 academy people in here, then so be it. But we're not going to guarantee anything. The next bit for me is just around the appointments process. I think with appointments and probably feedback and performances are the 2 main emotive parts of refereeing, because we all think we're better than we are. Like, there's no guarantee, like, there's absolutely no doubt that we're all the best referee in the world. And then when somebody tells you you're not, then you're going, don't agree with you. Similar to appointments, and I can speak from bitter personal experience about the time that's spent worrying about what other people get. Like, worrying about, I'm getting this and they're getting that. I promise you, the brain cells, it's not worth it, because there's so many different factors that go into why people are getting appointments. And I've done it, and Min, as I'm sure you've probably done it as well. The time spent on it is not healthy. I know you're going to do it anyway. No matter if I stand here and say, don't do it, I know people are going to do it anyway. But it's a complicated process, and I know the impact, and the reason for just sharing this is that these are just some of the competitions that I deal with that impact the people in this room. Not even if you're getting these appointments from these competitions, it's the knock-on effect to Craig and Corgi and JP for their domestic appointments, and sometimes that's why the process can be a bit slow, and the 3 of them are hitting me over the head going, we need to do this, we need to do that, and sometimes you're just waiting for an external competition to say, this is what your appointments are for this block, which then allows me to work out all the ramifications and the implications for high performance and academy now as well. So these are all the different competitions that impact your domestic games as well, whether you're involved in them or not. So if it's slow, or weekends that we've got people out in Europe, and that obviously then changes the landscape of who's doing Premiership or whatever. It's a complicated business, and we try our best in it. I don't always get it right, and I acknowledge that, but we try our best on it. And it's not about a land grab. It's not about taking all the best fixtures, because that's not the way it should work. There's a good process in place around, like, we're not going to steal all the Premiership, we're not going to steal all the National 1 stuff. People will get the games that they deserve to get, but I'll work closely, obviously, with the guys to make sure that there's a good spread, because we want to make sure everybody's getting development opportunities. And JP will probably touch on some of that as well. So there's a huge, complicated in the background process sometimes that slows everything down and does impact on stuff. And if we don't have people out in URC or EPCR, then they're available for domestic rugby, which then does have that knock-on impact, because more people are out doing Premiership games or National 1 games, and then at last minute we get Glasgow away against Edinburgh coming in, so then that changes the narrative on stuff. So it's a complicated old process, but those are the competitions that can impact for us. So just keep that in your mind. Sometimes I'll go in, well, why are they getting this and I'm not getting that? If you focus on yourself and you work hard and you show improvement, then the appointments will come in the back of that, and we're not going to keep everybody happy. I'm very clear on that. It's impossible to keep people happy on these. We can do our best, but there's always going to be somebody disappointed when you look at an appointment and go, oh, I should have that, or I should have that. We'll do our best. So, final couple of bits for me. What does it get to get there? So, strong, accurate and connected is the World Rugby tagline at the moment. It's talked about a lot. Being a strong referee, being accurate, we've got to be accurate. We're talking about high performance here. Teams want accuracy. They want to know, like, what is right, what is wrong. And then there's a connection piece, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But those are the three things in terms of a high performance and World Rugby set it, EPCR, URC, everybody else follows in behind. These are the three words that get hit really quite hard on what they're looking for in terms of performances. Without worrying too much about any of this, in terms of the accuracy, there is this sort of work goes on in the background around accuracy of decisions, green, amber, red. This is an average number of decisions in each of these areas, so it's quite technical. It's quite technical. You probably recognise this is from the under 20s, so loads of greens. Not yours specifically. This is a competition. This is a competition. There's any reason not to share that, but you see a little kind of red KM. These are key moments. These are the ones that are deemed not to be an accurate decision, but they've had a high impact outcome on non-yellow cards or whatever. This is the sort of stuff that goes on in the background and shapes some of the discussions that take place within high performance. Again, we can get sort of caught up in some of this, but it's a big part of the whole review process, and there's no hiding place from it, because teams are sending stuff in and there's loads of discussions and there's scrum experts, line out maul experts. Sam, there's probably experts in everything now in that space, isn't there? So there's guys that have coached at international rugby that have made the scrum an absolute nightmare, that are now helping referees be better at scrums. And if they hadn't coached scrums to be a nightmare, we probably wouldn't be in half the problems that we're in with them. So there's a lot of work there. So just that all links into the strong, accurate and connected. We are here, we're here in high performance stuff, and they're looking for this accuracy. And I use it just as an example with Rue from the under 20s. The South Africa-Uruguay game, it was like, 108-7 or something, the final score. There was a non-yellow card for a cynical not back 10 from a quick tap against Uruguay, who are obviously getting absolutely smashed. And understandably, World Rugby in a tournament, they want consistency, teams want consistency. Rue, to his credit, didn't give a yellow card because it was 108-7, and I think everybody can empathise with that. However, professional international rugby, jobs are on the line, we're talking big time here. And the feedback was that should have been a yellow card, which can hurt. Like it can be hard to accept that, and I understand that. And I'm not saying when you go out to National 4 or National 3 or anything like that, you've got to do that. But that's probably the difference then between operating in a domestic structure into high performance professional stuff. And that's what I've always got to keep in the back of my mind when we're preparing people for professional and international rugby on that. And we don't always have to agree with it. Like I'm not saying I agree with it, disagree with it. That's the reality of where we are sometimes on these things. So how do we get there? It's the right opportunities, the right time, competition for spots. We want competition. I shared this last year at Strathallan. We need competition. We need people putting their hand up and going, pick me, I'm ready to move into this next space. And people will, and people won't. And that's the nature of any kind of development as well. So, and it's about sustained opportunities. It's not just going, I've been really good in this league, give me a shot at the next level. Well, you might have earned that shot at the next level, but are you going to get sustained opportunities? So it's the right opportunity at the right time for as long as we can sustain it and give you that. And it's not drop you in for one game and expect you to be amazing, because it's impossible for many reasons. But we don't have huge amounts of opportunities, so we need to make sure the opportunities are in the right place at the right time for the right people to give us the best return. Again, look, Rue would tell you how long we've been trying to get you into URC, and finally got there last year. And it's a slow process. These are slow processes. We don't dictate a lot of this stuff. It's networking, it's discussions with referee managers of other competitions, and it can be a challenge because you're fighting against 5 unions in a URC and more into EPCR and World Rugby. So it's not just a case of going, yeah, we'll just chuck you in and then we're ready for the next stuff. So it's a brutal industry at times. Again, I shared this last year, just some key attributes of what we're looking for. Obviously, law knowledge would have been 100% today. I've got no doubt about that. And I'm sure we can cut lunch if anybody really wants to do the law test today. But for me, the emotional intelligence is a big thing here. Really, really important. Like, it's the resilience you need to be involved in that professional game is huge. Absolutely huge. But we need authenticity. We need you to be who you are on and off the park. Because people can tell what's going on. Like, players they'll find out if you're not the same on and off the park, and they'll lose trust in you. A big thing that's chucked a lot is trust. Players need to trust you, teams need to trust you. And you have to be, if you're the same, how you engage with people on and off the park with a bit of a killer instinct when you need it, then that authenticity is there. So that would be the one thing for me. I would just say, like, just be you on and off the park, because that's what helps you move forward. And I think, so look, just reiterate, goal remains the same. There's opportunities there. It's the goal is to get people into pro and international rugby. That's what this is all about, and it takes a lot of work, and I know people in here are ready to do that, and it's exciting about where we're going to go from here. All right.
Thanks, Micah.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll just ask JP to come up and describe plans for the national panel group.
Right.
I'm going to go and I'll check what the plans are for lunch.
Okay, so it's a good opportunity for me to speak to you guys, but also a good opportunity because of the inferno to go through this quite quickly. Would you want that?
Yeah.
You know what I like? I like detail. I like numbers, I like telling you where you are, give you the information, tell you how things are going to work going forward. It can be a slight bit dry, but it's really important so you know you have complete understanding of the landscape, so then we can move forward, because the landscape changes year to year. So the idea is to do that, so if we have further conversations down the road, we can use this as a reference point for that conversation. 3 things that we're trying to do, and we're trying to make every meeting we have about these 3 key points, okay? It's not, like, of course I understand the pathway I'm using. It's no good, is it? You guys have to completely understand it. So I have to deliver for you guys to have complete understanding. I have to show you what am I doing to value you, because you guys do so much to show Scottish rugby your value. You show us all the time by turning up, travelling, effort, games, people being unkind to you, and you keep showing up and keep delivering. So what are we doing as staff to show you that we value you as the individual? Of course there's everyone, and as Andy said about keeping them happy, well, I'm going to try and keep you as close to happy as I can get you. I might be fucking miserable, but as close to happy as I can get you. Okay, I don't know what that destination is, and it's really important as your journey evolves that we keep you in kit. Okay, for the long, long time. I don't want anyone ever leaving. I want you all in kit till the day you're taken away, okay? But there is a role for you somewhere in Scottish rugby at all times. This is, you know, the coaches who have no cuts, this is a no cut sort of thing. You might not have the exact role you want, you may not have the exact game you want, but I want you, if you feel valued, okay, and if you're aware of the pathway, you might just stay in the kit if it's not, you know, if it's not absolutely perfect for you. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's what we try when we're having meetings. We use these three things as our guide in meetings, okay? So what's performance goal? Because there's such a variety of rugby that you all have to referee, and you look at your appointments and you can see, and there's a reason why we're doing the 6 block, you can see that there's a variety of games. You can't referee in the same style. I'm asking the tariff to be high, okay, higher, because this is an exclusionary room. There are people who'd like to be in this room who aren't, so therefore I'm asking you to have certain talents and attributes to referee the game in front of you, okay? And a good example is you can referee a Vets game and it can be all fun and giggles for 65 minutes or 25 minutes, depending how long they're playing, and then the last 5 minutes they want to win or lose, and they start playing for real. You have to change your refereeing, don't you? If you have a schools game that's all hell fellow well met and then there's a couple of high tackles and parents are getting upset, you have to be on top of what that game is asking you in that moment. And that's the tariff. That's why you're in the room, for all the different roles. Okay, so it's 20, obviously here. So the key metric, what I want to judge you on, and this is, again, well, how are you refereeing? How am I doing? I want to judge you over 800, not 80. And the reason's twofold. If you were brilliant this week, that's fantastic, but I need you to do more. And if you refereed okay, but you had a fall off in the last 10 minutes and you messed the game up and it didn't go particularly well at the end, look, that happens. It happens to Sam, it happens to Holly, it can happen to absolutely everybody. So I want to judge you over 800, because the more data I have on you, the more information I have on you with your coaches, with yourself, with your peer group, the more likely I am to make a judicious, or we are to make a judicious decision. So that's why the reasoning of 800. Need you to referee 12 games in the league of 18. That's what we want to get you to. That's what it's not quite, anyone doing maths, not quite 800, is it? But if we add in injury time, it's about 800, okay? So the idea is that in less than 8 years, hopefully 6, but maybe 7, you get to 100 league games. And that way, you are really showing your wares over that time. Just to stop for a second, as far as 12 game goes, 800 minutes, and the key strands. Anyone have any feedback? And I'd much prefer a volunteer than a conscript at the moment.
You only need 10 games to get to 800 minutes.
Yeah. Don't mind that. I was drunk, sorry. Yes. 12 games is over 800 minutes, yes. Sorry. 1,000 minutes, I was saying 960. Sorry, 1,000 minutes. But the 800 judge, sorry. Okay, this is what we have available to it, yeah?
Sorry, just one question on it. You've got how many games in these leagues and how many referees?
Gonna go, yeah, that's why we do the maths, yeah. So, in the league, we forecast, obviously there's 90 games in each league, but there are other groupings now that earn games and will be doing games. So we have a certain amount of games and we have to budget what that is. So there's 20 for 200 games. That's roughly the budget. That's plus or minus. That could get up to 240. That could drop to 180. It's a forecast. We don't know exactly, but we can kind of monitor and track and plan ahead by doing it this way. And that includes National 1, National 2, Women's Premiership, and the Open Conference. And the Open Conference, I believe, is a great standard of rugby to sharpen your refereeing. It's probably the most fun refereeing rugby you'll do. You know, it's Premiership-esque, but without some of the behaviour models you might see on the sideline or so on and so forth. It's generally in pretty nice schools with, you know, pretty nice pitches and well manicured everything and free lunches and, you know, a good day out. So in the Premiership, we're looking at about 55 games plus or minus 10%. Okay, so it could go up to 60, could come down to high 40s, but that's what we're looking at. 3 rounds per game, okay, so it's not a lot, is it? It's 3.3, so sometimes we'll pick up 4, sometimes we'll pick up 5, sometimes we'll pick up 1. Okay, but the idea is to over a block of the 6 games. So in these 6 games, we picked up 3.3 in the first block. Okay, 6 referees at the moment currently, and the number of referees in these divisions won't particularly change. So a referee might go out, but someone will then come in most likely. There's not going to be a huge variance on the numbers of referees in the league. Okay, so 30% of the panel referee in the Premiership currently. Okay, we would like to get more people in the Premiership, but there will have to be an in and out sort of idea, and that comes from the 800 and having open, honest conversations. You can see that with that you'll only average 9 games in the league, so you need to pick up more in other leagues, whether that's Women's Premiership, Open Conference, National 1, other games. So when you are going to these other leagues, your performance is still to match the level of refereeing the game in front of you. Fair enough? Okay, so National 1, there's a kind of a lot of turbulence there, a lot more people, a lot more games going on, so we're forecast for about 45 in National 1, 3 rounds per games. Now this is kind of, I don't know if it's interesting to me. So there are 10 independent referees in that league off the national panel, and 2 who are in the Premiership who are doing games in that division. So that's 12, 60% of the league, but if we work on the maths of that, you'd only average 4 games in that league. It's very hard to get to the number of games in that league we want, because it's quite a multiple practitioners in that league. Okay, so between the 2 leagues, it's 100 games, plus or minus. Maybe we pick up 115, maybe it's 95. Okay, but then that lets you think, right, well, if I am a Premiership referee, I'm in National 1, you need to referee to the higher standard. Okay, you're going to be beholden to the standard that you are as a referee. Okay. In fact, the performance demand goes up on you when you go down a division. If you're a National 1 referee predominantly and you're refereeing National 2, the performance expectation is higher. If you drop into a schools game, the performance expectation is higher. So the reverse obviously works as well. If someone's going into the Premiership from National 2, we wouldn't expect you to be Sam Grove White in that game in your first performance. We would give you a bit more leeway. But please, if you're going into other leagues, please, your performance, perfect. Aye. Okay. So 16 of the 20 referees on the national panel are refereeing in Premiership or National 1. Okay? All right? The 4 who are not in there, I've had conversations with, and I'm expecting most all of them to go into National 1 this year. Okay? Depending on performance. Okay, and they'll work with their cohort and their group and their peers to go in. But maybe none go in, but we will work and endeavour to get people in there. Now that means some people will have to come out. And you can see with the numbers.
Let you know, no fire.
No fire.
We're just testing a system. We had a faulty system today. I do apologise for the noise and all that and having to see me so many times today.
Okay.
But don't worry, you can just sit and relax.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
So in National 2, this is a division that's also shared width of what we have. So Corgi and his group and his selector group also have games in that division. So we will, if you get to the 200 by doing the maths, we do need, so we take 2.5 games in those rounds, sometimes more, sometimes less, plus or minus as always. Okay? There are 3 ways to move from the national panel. Up into high performance, as seen fit. People who stop because their life moves away, their injuries won't clear up, they move to Bora Bora, whatever it is, there is normally a changeover there, and people who step down off the panel through management of performance, okay? We will be using all 3, okay, of these systems. So what we want, and what our goal is, what the budget again is, 2 new referees plus or minus into the Premiership, okay, which would give us 25%. So that would be if you are in the Premiership now and you're in those 6, you are under pressure. Okay, you have to referee because we need 2 new referees to go into the Premiership. Now, it might turn out to be none if the performances of the other group aren't there. But this is what we're working, this is the goal, this is what we're working towards. Whether we achieve it or not, we'll see. But the same for National 1, as we spoke about, which would make from 16 to 18 of the panel have refereed in National 1 this year. And we're looking for those who are in the Premiership so that you can provide
opportunities and evidence to move to high performance. Okay. The information then for Corgi and his selector group, so he can work towards some sort of movement, is we're looking for 3 to join the national panel, 15%, because that gives me over 7 years, or gives us over 7 years, a chance to rotate the panel and keep freshening up. But it doesn't mean you're not on the panel. You could be up, stopped, or performance off. Does that make sense? Is there clarity on all of that? To say, right, these are the games, this is why it happens, this is what we're doing. Yeah? Okay, so then the structure of the season and why it's a sprint and not a marathon. Okay, by October 31st, so you have your appointments until October... End of September. 3rd of October is ready to go, and that's a non-league weekend, isn't it? 10 is a non-league weekend. So we're basically up to October 10. Okay? We'll then appoint the 3 league weeks on the back. So once we start gathering evidence from this opening sojourn, we'll start appointing. But with that 6 and with that 3 in an 18-league season, that's 50%. Okay, you're well down the road. If you're Hull FC after beating Man United yesterday, if you've only got 10 points by 50% of the season, they're going to be in trouble, aren't they? So you need to put your performances in early. The Open Conference will be finished by the end of October. Okay, so we'll lose those opportunities. The Women's Premiership, subject to there being a playoff round, which we're not informed, we don't have the fixtures yet, but the league will be 95. I think there's 1 fixture left. 95% finished, and that's by October 31st. Is that new or slightly surprising information to anyone, or a bit stark now you see it written out? Of the 200 games, how many are completed by October 31st, the November break for the internationals? Thoughts? Anyone have? I'd like to hear some opinions. I know people want to sit on their hands, but...
I mean, it's a little scary that, you know, the idea that you could get that far in the season, you don't know what's happening. You're already halfway done.
Yep.
Oh God, I've got nowhere, nothing's happened. Oh no.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to do with that. That concept of that is
100%. But the reverse of you not knowing and then saying, oh, well, it's a bit hard to find anything here, the league is nearly over. Can I not do an open conference? No, we don't have any. Can I not do that? We don't have any. So the idea is the availability, which you guys have been brilliant at. You are extremely available practitioners. You've done superbly. So we can find a fair flow to what we're doing for you to provide information. And it's up to us then, and for me, to work with the coaches and to work with Corgi and to work with Craig across the board to keep information coming in on the performances, to keep using coach logic to feed back to you, to have a consistency in the manner in which we look at games. Okay, a methodology, a verbiage of how we're feeding back to you, so we can get. It's not about consistency; it's about it being more consistent. Okay, can't say it's going to be consistent. It just can be more consistent. If the play on words is okay there. Okay. Yep.
I know you sort of gone through how the allocation have gone so far in terms of where we're at. Is it almost we're on the verge of allocating towards almost the second half of the season already? Is it sort of like have you already got in mind of the people that you're thinking of who's going to go up? I will say it's absolutely correct. If I can put a pin in that and get to it at the end, but absolutely, yeah. So that's a really fair question. So then by Christmas, Honey.
You've looked at those 6 games. And you're doing the next 3 on the back of.
Well, the back of probably those 3. Reality,
How would you make that judgment about who you want to put in what position in the next 3?
Yeah, perfect. Can I get a pin in that as well? So both of those are really, really fair questions, and I'll just put a pin in them. So this is just kind of an information download at the moment, heavy on info, a little bit of info. Okay, so league completed by Christmas, okay? So Prem is finished by... Prem actually has one weird week where it's in February. There's one outlying week in February 28th, but it's basically finished by January 31st. and that won't finish by January 31st. And yes, games will get cancelled, of course it will, Scottish weather. But when we appoint you to, we're going to try and keep you with that game. We're not going to try and take that opportunity away from you. So it doesn't really, if games are cancelled, it doesn't really change how much opportunity we can give you. Does that make sense? Now, sometimes extra opportunities will, of course, pop up within the cancellation. So-and-so can't do it. So, oh, you've gone really well. That gives you an opportunity. Of course, on the fly, stuff happens. But I want you to know, from the stable platform, we're trying to fire a cannon from a boat in reality. But let's get the cannon as stable on the boat as we can and make the best shot. So what we're looking to do as far as the meetings go for you guys, we're looking to have 2 online and 2 in person during the season. The second in-person one, we're looking to do something a little different, a bit more social. Like here, can you speak on anything to hint towards what we're looking to do for the second?
You know, we want to try and provide, well, not on the microphone, sorry, but yeah, just try to put an insight into people together, unity, so we're looking at opportunity for the 2 professional clubs. So can we access URC Culture, Glasgow, or Edinburgh, and bring people together? Very much a social. Might even be on a Friday night, and then go into your games, maybe after 15 beers or whatever.
14 beers. Yeah.
That's the kind of idea we're looking at, so we're trying to provide opportunity.
So 2 more online, but that's subject to change. That could go slightly more, but that's what we're trying to do as a national panel. And then obviously within your coaching cohorts, you'll have a lot more meetings on top of it. But to get this group together, be 3 times in the season, once here, once hopefully before Christmas again, and then once post-Christmas. Okay, so how the coaching is working, I'm sort of speaking to the people who know how to preach into the choir. Just have a read of that. I don't need to read a slide, you're all very capable. Okay, the idea of the non-invasive standards is to work at things with your coaches that won't affect the game. So if you're working towards, right, for example, Sammy, I need you to set up the set piece a bit better. Okay? You can't set up the set piece until you have what? A set piece. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't, we're trying to have non-invasive things. So downtime talks with captain to be X, or whatever these strands are that are going to make you a better referee, but don't affect the primary principle of refereeing the game in front of you. Okay? So you guys will be breaking off into groups about that in a bit. So this is first round of appointments, Lee, how we're looking to do it. So the first block of 6 is about fairness, trying to get a bit of equality, not of equality levels within your peer groups. You know, these people over here get roughly this, these people here get roughly this, these people here get roughly this. The October 3rd, when we're looking to appoint them on, there'll be a little movement, without an E apparently, a little movement here where it'll be very difficult because we don't have huge evidence, so we're not expecting huge movement there. But then by the November time, looking to collate quite a lot of data, and again leaning heavily on John and Malcolm and Alex and Lee and Craig as the coaches to come together to give the information, so we can see how your cohort is doing, but see how the group of 20 is doing as well. So the idea is the coaches will be feeding in, but then the coaches will be getting together and almost providing that national panel. And then the post-Christmas rounds will be really where the performance takes place, isn't it? You've done your 8 of your 12 games that we're looking for you to do by Christmas, hopefully 8+. So then post-Christmas, when the games are important, and Andy might be looking at, you know, next this, next that, that's the opportunity for you to put in practice all the deliberate practice you've done before. Put into performance what you've done in deliberate practice. Lee?
The point I'm asking is, how do we as coaches and referees know what the criteria you're looking for?
Yeah, we're working really hard. Craig, you want to come in on that?
You want to give me the mic? So just give other people the mic. See, I'm buying time. No, look. At the end of the day, the big piece of work that needs to be completed is the blueprint. Okay, and that will, and now obviously that doesn't set us up for first league game of the season and doesn't set us up for before Christmas, but that piece of work will be completed and we need to work towards that, and once that's in place then we'll have a really clear understanding. What we do before that is until we have anything new, any new information, is we will, for the national panel, we will be reverting back to the stuff that we've peddled for the last 18, 24, 36 months. Okay, so it'll be the stuff that we always talk about: leadership, connection, managing, getting full play live, all of that stuff. We will not move away from that. And if we believe that that is what it takes to at least get to the top of the national panel, then Maka needs to will decide what it takes on top of that to make that person a high performance referee. So we will peddle that narrative. We will get people up through the national panel, because remember, there's only a couple at the top of the national panel that are pushing on that window. So the other 18 need to impress, that's not the right word, but need to show performance that we believe makes that referee better, and that's what will make progress. So we will stick with the same narrative in the national panel. Maka will then look for specific things then to take them into the high performance group, and that's how it's going to work. Okay? Any questions, any cross questions? Thanks, Lee, for that. No? Happy days.
There'll also be a huge element of you, the coaches, guys, working not only with me, but together, our cohort working together. So we'll be discussing the tenets that suit our national panel, and then you guys will be filing that out, but that wasn't for today. But does that make sense? Because I want to address the questions really openly and honestly. Okay, so how do we choose when we're putting people in? What do we do? What is our criteria for selecting the game? Okay, so 3 things. What's best for the game? So before we put a referee in, we say, what does this game need? Okay, so if it's 2 big schools going against each other, can we make that game even better by appointing the right referee to it? If it's a Borders game, what does that game, what does Kelso-Hoyt need in match officiating terms, and then where do we go for that talent pool? Now, if you're a referee, you can do a really good schools game and do a really good Borders game and do an Edinburgh derby. More strings on your bow, fantastic. But this is what we're looking for before we get to you. We look at the game. So a good example last year was Stirling played Edinburgh in the National 1. So Sam O'Neill, you went and did that game because you were seen as the best fit for that game on that day. Does that make sense? So we didn't look at, well, that's an out-1 game. It's like, no, that's the most important game, so there you go and do that game. Okay, can you add value? And add value, you know, it's a big term, isn't it? Okay, you add value by cards, you add value by whistle, you add value by allowing people to play, and you add value by stopping foul play, and loads of other ways. But what are you bringing to make that game better? If it's a 2 out of 10 game, can you make it a 2.5? You don't have to make it an 8, but don't make it a 1.5. And if it's an 8 out of 10 game, can you make it a 9? Okay? So we'll get into this over the year. You'll hear from your coaches back within your cohorts, and hopefully you'll discuss it with each other. How do you add value? And value can be through the whistle, but it also can be not the whistle. Depends on the game. The rules of engagement, we discussed it with like the seniors, the over 50s playing, and all of a sudden the rules of engagement change 10 minutes through. So the rules of engagement can be, if you're refereeing 2 elite schools games, how do you think they want it refereed? You know, what are they looking for from the ref on the day? You know, they're probably looking for pretty close to professional standards off you, aren't they? But if you're doing 2 schools that were struggling, they're not asking you to blow everything. They probably need some help around scrum. They probably need some help about lineouts. So what's the rules of engagement on that day? And you say, well, that's difficult to know. That's why you're in the room. You all have that ability. You passed the bar, you got in the room. And Sam will know, if you want to be the best referee in the world, you have to have these 3 things. Sammy, do you want to come in on any of this?
No, I think it's like what you said earlier. I think it's just having all the strings to your bow. I think being able to spread them around, and every game's different, and finding the challenge in every game that you do. I think you probably look at appointments, you look at games, and you're not sure why you do it, but there's always a different challenge or a different skill or a different work on that you can apply in everything you do. And I think it's going into any game and just taking that as it comes.
So hopefully you're seeing that each area I'm working through has a clarity, or I'm trying to provide that pathway clarity to you. Don't expect you to remember it all today. Okay, so this is the epilepsy grid, okay? So just take a breath, have a moment, and I want to bring you through just a little bit. You're not going to take much in, but I want to provide clarity on the pathway. I want to go back to the principle of what I'm trying to do. So you can see here at the top, we have 20 referees. Now, the reason why we ask you for your availability is so that the people who are unavailable are in red there. Okay, so we can get you individually bespoke to the amount of games you need to go. Michael, you were in Kuala Lumpur or somewhere last year for 6 weeks, Cyprus, wasn't it, for the start? And we got you to where you needed to be by the end of the year because we had pre-planning, we had knowledge of that. We also don't want you waiting around for appointments. So if you can see there, and it's very hard to see, everyone who isn't on a red is appointed to a game. So when you are available, we are appointing you. So you're not waiting for the appointment. We are appointing you. If you're unavailable, it is not a problem. We will work. We need a certain amount of availability to get you to your 12. Of course we do. I need you to be able for at least 12 weekends. But I need you slightly more than that because you will have to do ARing and 4ing and different variety of games. But the idea is you can see there, the Premiership are up in that top group there. Then it goes into National 1 and the yellow goes all the way down very, very far. And even those who are in 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, we're trying to give them open conference games, which I view and we view as a high level. So it's a chance for you to go out and referee in a performance environment. On this grid here, we're trying to make sure that everyone goes on Coach Logic so that you all get to referee visibly on video with the microphone that I and your coaches can give you written feedback on. We're using Andy Clift to go see your game. So those who are not on video, Andy Clift will come and garner more information. He will work with your coaches. So when he's assessing you, for want of a better word, is Andy here? No, he's not. He's golfing. When he's assessing you, for want of a better word, he will already be linked in with your cohort, your coach, to work on the IDP area that you've been working on. So it won't be just a simple rights and wrong assessment. It will be a combination of factors. So what we're trying to do is go back to what I spoke about earlier. So get available from the referee appoint a level of games, use the red areas to help, okay? The depth 200 doesn't get it. We don't get to 220 at National 1. We got to go deeper. So I need you guys to be on board with that and girls to be on board with the ideas. There will be other league games you are doing. And we might be sending Andy Clift, for example, to watch those league games so it can add to your data set. Okay? That's how we create opportunities. I'm trying so hard to be fair, but also followable. So you no point me telling you I'm fair. I have to show you I'm being fair. And this is my attempt, failing or not, my imploring to be, this is what I'm doing to treat everyone to the level I can. I'm trying to make as many of you happy as I can, or as close to happy as you can be, or I have the gift to give. Okay? So just to check on the outcome, 3 things I wanted to do. Please challenge me here. Scott, did we cover your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was sort of wondering when the next allocation were happening and sort of how many games you were...
Correct. So what we do here is we appoint to a league and then work out the game we can get you on the back of it. Does that make sense? So rather than appointing you to a game, we appoint you to a level. And then Craig does his ninja skills on the back of it. I definitely don't do that because you'd be in Katniss or something by accident, right? But we're trying to make sure that if you've had a run of games, we know we can ring them and say, hey, look, you haven't taken Ref 6, you haven't taken any time off. You need to take 2-3 weeks off. We need you to have an air gap, a break. Okay, it's important you step away from rugby because when you come back, you're better. Okay, like in anything in life. All right, so we're trying to cover everything that way. Happy with that, Scott? Does that directly answer the question?
Yep.
Okay, so 3 things I tried to do. Do you understand the pathway that is available on the national panel of how you move from national X to game Y? Do we understand what that process will be? And if no, please say I might not have got it through to you. Okay, it doesn't matter if I understand it, I need you to understand it.
I'll just add, I get the point, I understand the pathway, but at what point and how often should you expect a conversation, if you and your coach have a conversation, fine, at what point is there a check-in with your coach, you and a manager?
Yeah.
So this is, no, because we might have an interpretation as, this is it. Because your interpretation is.
Yeah, you might be saying X and we're saying Y.
Yeah.
Perfect. So your coaches, that's why when you're going to go off in your cohorts this afternoon, you're going to come back and deliver what your cohort wants. So for example, Lee's cohort might not want to check in all that often. They're happy just to tick over. They might be working on the coaching side, whatever it may be. They might want a lot of checking. I don't know. You're going to discuss it. Other cohorts might want, actually, we need some information here. We're quite a young group. We're quite an experienced group. We're quite a aspirational group. We want information. Cool. Let me buy into that. But let me not make it carte blanche across everyone, that everyone has to do the same thing. Does that make sense? That's why it's independent to you. So if you and your coach feel that your group needs more, well, let's do more. Let's provide more. Because you're giving me so much. How do I make you feel valued? Well, I respond to your needs.
Yeah, and I think that's like, without it being, you want 20 people that follow identical, you will never have a room of 20 people that are perfect, but it's that understanding of what's the metrics that you're all following, and where are you on that path? Are you kind of ranking for like so my work,
but equally 20 won't want the same, so they want, so I want to respond to, so we've made 20 into 4s, and then let's get, what do that 4 want with their coach? What do they want? And let's, maybe it's maybe they're demanding too much and we can pull it back a bit, but let's find something, make an agreement and go for it and see where we are there. That's how I want to make you feel valued.
Exactly, and I think the point is, like, say I work in a environment where there's 80,000 staff, but all 80,000 are quintiled between the tiers every year. So you kind of know where you're sitting. Are you going forward? Are you getting punted out the door? And it's kind of just knowing where you are on that path and what the manager says, not just what me and...
Absolutely, and that's why that's exactly what we're going to do. Yeah, that's exactly what, when you go this afternoon, you come back, I want you to present that, and then I'll hook back up with your coach during the week, and we'll firm it all up. So that's exactly what I'm about. I just don't think everyone will want the same.
JP, can I ask a quick question? So all of this is obviously focused on performance. It sounds great. What happens to people who are dropping down? How do we support them in that process?
So the idea is those who are failing need to be uplifted. Okay, so we need to provide, so when you're struggling, you need to provide opportunities to be successful, not threaten that you have to succeed. And that's what we'll do. We'll build in with their coaches plans to uplift them. Like, for example, I wouldn't expect 5 or 6 to come up onto the panel this year. So if 2 or 3 go in other directions, it's 3 methods to go off. My hands aren't forced that we have to kick anyone off. I don't want anyone feeling that, oh my God, I'm the whole city. No, that's not what we're looking to do at all. I want you to be valued, I want you to be secure. And if we are having troubles, I want to bring that duck to water and see what I can do to help you. And then if it isn't to be, I want to keep you in the thistle. Yeah. So no matter what, let's say Sammy's no good this year and he's the one who goes.
It's a big fall, that.
It happens quick, pal. I want to be there to help them, and I want their coach to be there, and I want their cohorts to be there to help them to be understanding of their position, not agreeing, understanding, but also how do I keep you involved? What do I have to do? The pathway for you to where you want to go is there. Now, it might be a motorway, the M90, perfect, or it might be a little farmer's 8-track road, okay? But there will be a path to success for everybody, but not everybody can take that path. Does that make sense? And there's a lot of management speaking there. But what I'm saying is I don't want anyone feeling, geez, I'm in Group X, therefore I'm going at. No, that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah, it's just the management disappointment. We're sitting with a group of people here who are identifying as the future, most of the people, and are excited about that. But some people will drop out through performance.
Of course.
It's how do we support those people positioning back in?
And I would believe in my coaches and myself enough that if anyone's dropping out through performance, we haven't coached them well enough. I will be directly responsible for them not achieving. It will be my fault. Because I think everyone here, 16 of the 20 are refereeing National 1 in the first 6 blocks. The other 4 who haven't are very capable or already have. So if all those 20 are capable of National 1, why would one of them get kicked off for performance? So that would be a direct correlation to my work, I would say. So if 4 or 5 had to be managed out after we've just picked you to be in this room, how the Christ is that not my fault? All right? Secondly, do you see how valued? Do you see we're trying to show you're valued? Okay, you might only be worth £1.50, but there's some value. We're trying to get you as high on the stock exchange as we can get you. Can you see it? Does anyone say no? Doyler, talking nonsense as usual. Okay, and secondly, do you understand why I need you in the Thistle? We don't have enough quality that you guys are just to say, hey, just walk away. Don't have it. I need you to be in Scottish rugby. Sitting here in your magnificent kit, looks great. The Navy, everyone in their lilac today looked fantastic. Thank you so much for your attitudes this morning. Thank you so much for your joy this morning. Hopefully this nonsense is over and we move forward as a group. But any final questions? Okay. Bazinga. Brilliant.
Excellent. Thanks, JP. Let's get a round of applause for the winners this morning. Thank you. Perfect. Lunch was delayed till sort of 10:15 anyway, so we're not way beyond time.